The top part. Okay, there you go. Well, welcome Conservatives of Texas, established 2016. My name is Alex Deenda, and before we start our monthly meeting, just want to let you guys know that we do these every third Thursday at 7 p.m. here at Comanche Trail Church, located at 2700 Southeast 34th. So first and foremost, this is just a regular meeting that we have every month. This isn't any kind of a forum or whatnot, but I did think it was probably necessary to go ahead and invite a few candidates that are going to speak for just a few minutes to let you guys know what they're running for. And our special guest tonight is Kelsey Richardson. As Conservatives of Texas, established 2019, we are trying to help her with her campaign and get her started on that. So first and foremost, I would like to start us off in prayer. So let's remove our hats, please. Dear Father in heaven, we love you, Lord. We thank you for this day. Every day is the best day. And I just pray for our candidates that are running here in Amarillo for all positions, Lord Father. I pray that they receive the discernment, Lord Father, and the attributes that would be necessary to send them out, Lord Father. In Jesus' mighty name, we pray for our country. We pray for our city. Amen. Amen. All right, guys. So one of our members, Conservatives of Texas, Kelsey Richardson, she's going to be running for City Council, Place 1. And we have also Irene Hughes. She's running for Amarillo College Board of Regents. And Connie Brown, she's going to be running for the Amarillo Independent School District. So, yeah, she's going to be great for that position, I'm sure. So I do want to read a scripture out of Exodus 18:21, and it goes something like this. Moreover, you shall select from all the people able men and women, such as fear God, men and women of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them to be rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of fifties, and rulers of tens. So as Christians and as folks in our country, I really believe that that's a precept that we really need to be beholden to. And when we have our candidates running for public office, I think that we should really search those things out and those values, because as you can see, those qualities are just imminent in today's day and age. I mean, with the state of the country and where we're at. So I think that's very, very, that's a worthy cause to look for these types of folks. So I do want to go over who's running for what in our city. And so first I'll name off the mayoral race. We have Frida Powell. We have Cole Stanley, Tanya Watson, Jeffrey McGonigal, Sam Burnett. For Place 1, we have Kelsey Richardson, Margie Gonzalez, Ray White, Josh Kraft, newly added Dean Crump. I think he filed today. Sherry Wood. For Place 2, we have Don Tips, Gabriel McHenry Herrera, Misty Vigil. For Place 3, Tom Sherlin and Kat Massey. And for Place 4, Hobart Gunny Brown, Les Simpson, and John Ingerson. I think John Ingerson had originally went for Place 1, but now he's moved over to Place 4. And AISD School Board, Connie Brown and Robin Leah. And as I mentioned earlier, Irene Hughes for College Board of Regents. I did reach out to Cole Stanley last month after our last meeting, and he's a great and terrific individual, and I just want to say you have our full support here. And when I sent him the picture, it was really nice that he responded, "Love you, Patriots. You guys are strong American patriots." So he also mentioned we are going to turn this ship around. So thank you, Cole, for that. And we'll continue praying for you in your race to be our next mayor. So order of business for today. After this order of business, I will get into the candidates coming up and speaking. So it's not a lot here, but we are looking at a fundraiser for the North Heights kids for an afternoon of fun at Legacy Airsoft and Gaming, also called The Vault. Thank you, Israel Derrick, for offering up your facility for this. The budget for that's going to be about $9,000. And I did reach out to Paladar Athletic Director Eric Mims so we can get something fasten in the community. You know, you want to cultivate this atmosphere and this environment of love and interest within the community itself. And so a lot of these kids, as some of you may or may not know, they're bused, you know, all across Amarillo, and they have about 2 or 3 facilities in their immediate neighborhood. And so we're working on getting with the OCR, the Office of Civil Rights, to see if we can't do something about that, to see if we can't get a school opened up in their area, because that's a seed in your community, you know, and that's the heartbeat of the community. If even we can get Hilltop or Carver to open up an area to where these kids can actually go to the school in their immediate neighborhood, it's pretty confusing to a lot of these kids when they have to stand on the school campus, but yet get on a bus and go somewhere else. But until that happens, we wanted to go ahead and exercise our love for that community and get this fundraiser going, because at the end of the day, they're still needing to understand that we do trust, that they can trust us as a community and that we are going to love them through this. So keep your prayers in that situation for sure. We are going to reach out to Amarillo Education Foundation. They do grants and whatnot, so keep that in prayer. Also, we're going to do car washes and other things as well to raise that $9,000. The target date for that, we're looking at around July, because we want to hit the ground running when we get into fall of 23, so they can go 1 month after the other, 20 kids at a time. So thank you, Israel Derrick, once again for helping us with that, and hopefully the director there at Paladuro will get enough people on the football team, volleyball team, whatever it takes to help us do what's needed to raise this money. We discuss things here at our monthly meetings that have to do with our local area, and one thing that's come up is bike lanes. I'm very interested in what that consists of. They did have a meeting on February 9th over at the Alamo Center. The Body Planning Committee I think they hosted that. They had guest speakers, Emily Kohler, Kyle Schneidergen with the City of Amarillo, and Stephen Nava from Kimley Horn. One thing that I'm curious about on that is just what are the components that are going to be implemented in these immediate areas? Is it going to be more cameras in the name of safety and whatnot, which is fine, but I really want to find out a little more as to where these things are coming out of. What's the push? What's the thrust? I don't see a lot of people on bikes here in Amarillo, so I'm trying to figure out what is going on. And it seems like a lot of things revolve around the immediate east side, and that's where I live. I live in Tradewinds, and so of course I'm going to keep my eyes on those types of things. And that's all I have for the agenda, because I wanted to give time for the candidates to tell you guys a little bit about themselves, the position that they're running for. And so, Connie Brown, you're sitting up here closest, so come on up. Thank you for coming.
Well, thank you so much for coming out tonight in this cold weather. I think we all, probably everyone, especially that is running, and those of you that are doing such a great job with just being involved in what is going on. I think this is probably a scripture we all know and remember, and that's John 9 that says, I must work the works of him that sent me while it's day. The night cometh when no man works. Mm-hmm. I think we all feel an urgency to do what we can do while we can do it. And so I am running for Amarillo Independent School Board. I didn't see this coming. It's a pretty recent. As a matter of fact, my business cards will be finished tomorrow. Wow. But I have a lot of great friends in all of the areas and neighborhoods of this city. I've been here. I've spent close to 30 years of my life. I was born and raised in Kentucky, but I've this is home, and it will always be home. And I have grandchildren in this area, and I just think that we have got to bring some sanity back to our world. And so I recently saw a plaque in the store. Well, it was actually while I was just contemplating and praying and trying to figure out what, why do I want to do this? Why would I do this? What am I the right one to do this? And people even have asked me, and I've been told not to say this, but I'll probably say it every time. People say, why do you want to run for school board? I don't. Why would anybody want to run for an office that there's no pay for? And we know there's going to be great things, but there'll also be hard times. And so that's not my goal. My goal is to make a difference. And every day of my life, as long as I can remember, I felt very strongly that I was born to make a difference. I also feel very strongly that you were born to make a difference. And so I saw this plaque in a store, and I actually went out and bought it today. I thought, why didn't I buy that thing? But it said, I can no longer accept the things I cannot change. I've decided to change the things I cannot accept.
Yeah.
And so that's where I'm at. So I'm still studying. I'm still trying to learn all the different schools and everything and familiarize myself. But I have ran multi-million-dollar budgets, not as large as AISD, but it's zeros, right? And I have ran a private school for 23 years, a Christian school for 23 years. And I do love children, and I do want to make a difference. So here are the three things tonight that I can tell you that you can feel sure. And Blanca here, I've known her for I don't know how many years. Irene and I were talking about, we were on mission trips 30 years ago together. So I have a history here, and people that know me know that I'm pretty much the same as I've always been, and what you see is what you get. Here's the three things I can promise you. I can promise you that I am someone that strongly believes that the stewardship of children belongs to their parents. And as a school board member, I will do everything in my power to help them to do that and to do it well. I also believe that there are teachers who are good teachers who want to teach, but they maybe are, their efforts are being thwarted through other things. And I want to help them and equip them to have the classroom control that they need, that they desire. And I will stand behind them as in all ways that are available to me to help that to happen. And thirdly, I believe that people sometimes say, what's wrong with the youth of today? Well, that's a long thing, but sometimes they're the least of that list. And so I want to make sure that the children who still have the natural curiosity to learn are not distracted and do not have that they do have that option to actually learn in a classroom which was intended for education. And so I'll do my best to make sure that they're getting it, that they're being educated and not indoctrinated. And those are three things that I feel very strongly. Don't know what exactly it'll look like. Don't know what I'll be voting on about those things, but I can promise you that's where I'll land. Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, Connie, I want to give you an opportunity, if you'll step back up just for a moment. I went to a school board meeting not too long ago, and they were discussing Amplify. Mm-hmm. And I do believe in Amplify, but the Amplified King James is what I believe in. So, are you familiar with what was going on there?
Yes, I was in some of those.
What's your take on that? I know that it had things to do with certain innuendos in these books that were.
I believe it's more than just innuendos.
Yes.
I was asked to help to filter some of those books, the curriculum, and I didn't get to do as much help on that as I wanted to because I already had commitments. But I've been around a lot of people in a lot of circumstances for a lot of years, and I don't think I shock easy, and I was appalled.
Really?
I was appalled. And I also now have been out into the communities and talking to teachers, and there's a lot of teachers, they just want the ability to teach. And like I said, to educate, not indoctrinate. Yeah. And we just have to be aware as citizens. It's not when it comes to our door, it's at our door. Yes, it's not just in our door, but it's in our house. Yes, and we have to know that.
Does anyone have any questions for Connie when it comes to
I'm short, so I
Amplify?
have to step up here.
No, you're good. You're good.
Yes, ma'am.
In the Bible, it says that in the end, lawlessness will abound everywhere. What do you think your role is as a school board member or leader to make sure that we're not having lawlessness in our schools, such as furries, inappropriate outfits, bad agendas being pushed forward from our curriculum, things like that?
I believe that we're to be light, and I believe we're to stand for righteousness. And I believe a lot of things come into our surroundings, into our schools, into our neighborhoods, into our cities, because people simply aren't aware. So probably one of my biggest desires will be to make people aware, because I believe if parents are aware, they're going to get more involved. And I really don't see that we're going to change a lot of things until parents decide to take the initiative back into their hands, and because they do have the ability to stop things that even a school board member can't stop because of federal laws and that type of thing. So,
Any other questions, guys?
I have a question in regards to this position as a board member. How are you going to control the superintendent of schools?
well, let's just be honest here. I'll be one of 7 people.
That's true.
You know, I think we've seen a situation on our city council that one person has changed the trajectory of our city. Now, he didn't do it without other people coming alongside, but I told him the other day, I said, I only hope that I can have, I hope to have just a portion even of the ability to change the trajectory of where our schools are headed,
Right.
that you have. So, I can only be one vote.
That's all you get?
But I can meet a lot of people and talk to a lot of people and be as educated on the matters as I can be. And I promise you, I will not be someone who just takes a recommendation and votes for it as, just with whatever the popular vote is. I will know what I'm voting for because I believe I'm accountable for that vote.
Okay.
That's right. Mr. Ringo?
Where do you see your stance as far as currently in middle school and high school, the curriculum has to do a lot with computers, and it's kind of taken away from the educational standpoint of what kids really need to be learning. So where do you see your standpoint in that going into the school board system? I'm a teacher, and so we deal with that a lot. I just recently went to pre-K, but I was in middle school, and we spend more time fighting with the kids to get off YouTube and games and stuff like that than we actually get to teach them, because we reinvented the wheel and took out basic books and pencils and gave them a Chromebook.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not far enough into this to have a cut and dried hard answer for you. And I think I would be doing you a disservice to try to act like I do have one when I don't. My first step would be to talk to people like you who are teaching and let you educate me and tell me, here's what we're seeing. Here's what, I don't know if there's, I don't even know what the pathways would be for that, but I'm certainly interested in looking at anything that's taking distractions away from students that are there to learn and from teachers that are trying to have classroom control.
Thank you, Connie, for coming out. Give her a big hand, please. Anytime we have someone that I classify as a dignitary, whether it's a constable or whatnot, I do like to try to introduce them. So tonight we have Blair Schaefer. If you'd like to come up and just say hello real quick, if you don't mind. Blair actually had a very, very tough race, and it was astounding what he did. I was just talking to him today and just recognizing how such an uphill battle that was, but this guy works like no one else. And I just wanted to recognize you and thank you for coming out and just being a part of your precinct out here. This is Precinct 111, and I'm just so thankful. I know you're in Potter, but this is, 2 blocks away from me? Yeah, so he's already showing up to these types of things. And so 30 seconds.
The only thing I can say is Blair Schaefer, now Potter County Commissioner Precinct 2, but we need more things like this more often. We need younger generation being involved. We're talking about the moms. We need the moms sitting here. Myself, I've got a daughter, 4 kids. I need her sitting in this room. But that's what we need is we need community involvement. As a leader now, That's one thing, I've got an issue I'm working on right now is I need the people to talk to me. What do you think? What's your opinion? And I'm trying to listen to as many people as we can, but as y'all start learning, it's sometimes hard to get people to voice what they're wanting to do, and you just got to make a decision. But do what you can to get people in rooms like this, and then make the decisions the best that you can when you have to.
Hey, thank you so much, Blair. Y'all give a big hand, please. Okay, so next up, we have Irene Hughes. She is running for Amarillo College Board of Regents. Irene, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Appreciate this opportunity tonight. And I am Irene Hughes, running for Board of Regents of Amarillo College. And I had worked for Amarillo College for a number of years as an advisor for the Student Sports Services Program, which is a government grant that works with disabled, with first generation, and with low-income students. I also have experience with the Texas workforce. I worked as a youth specialist, and I placed TANF and food stamp recipients into workplaces. And I also have experience, my experience with having several small businesses has really helped me with working with employers for these young adults, because I've had to match employers with the students, and then I had to monitor and make sure what was going on in those workplaces. So I have all of that experience, and the things that I'm concerned about for Amarillo College, of course, number one is education, and even like Connie had spoken, that we are concerned about education and not indoctrination. And unfortunately, as I've studied, as I've been around people, you really wish it wasn't here. You really wish it wasn't at Amarillo College. You wish these places that you love, you really wish that it hadn't infiltrated into those areas. Mm-hmm. But as I am more educated, and I've been working kind of looking at politics, not really at politics, but just knowing what's going on in the world. And you can call that politics if you want to. But for, several years, I've just looked at what is going on in this world and trying to be educated to all of the letters. There's letters for this and letters for that. And, right. And it takes a lot of studying just to find out what all the letters stand for. And unfortunately, most of those aren't very good. Those DEIs and the WOKEs and all the rest of them, Black Lives Matter and all that, all at BLT, it all has little, you may not even know what they're talking about, but it's not good stuff, So anyway, education is something, that's what a college and high school's there for, is to educate, not to indoctrinate. And so I just kind of came up with questions, and the question is, what are the students learning? And I have been around talking to a lot of people. Everywhere I go, I talk to people. So I have quite a bit of experience in talking to people and knowing what people are thinking. But what are the students? What are we teaching those students at Amarillo College? What are we preparing them for? Are we preparing them for the workforce? Are we preparing them for higher education? Are we preparing them for life? Or is everything agenda run? Okay, so then we talk about finances. Well, where are the finances coming from? And where are they going to? Well, they're not all coming from the taxpayers. But that's one of my questions. And where can we do budget cuts so that we don't have to increase taxes? Because I know all the people are struggling. Those of us that are retired, we struggle too some days, because everything's costs a lot more, and your money's not coming in any faster than it used to. So that's my second concern. And then values. is something that I'm very concerned about. And the question I have is why did Amarillo College hook up with the DEI agenda? That's one of those letters.
Right.
And if you don't know what the letters stand for, you'll hear them everywhere on the news. Everywhere you go, you will hear about diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right.
And according to Mr. Pete Hegseth on Fox, you may like him, you may not, I don't care, but what he said was the truth the other day. And he said, anytime you see those three words all in one place, that you're talking about Marxism, you're talking about a woke culture that is being pushed. And I don't even know the guy, but I heard him that night, and I thought, that is the truth.
Mhm.
That is the truth. And unfortunately, that's something that is included in the 2025 strategic plan for Amarillo College. And so, my second why question was, why are we going down this path? Why are we going into all these agendas? Why do we want everyone to be forced to learn all of this? And I actually have experience, my last semester at Amarillo College when I was working, they started training us in this agenda. And it has lots of names. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But it was, when I got through with the first little video, I felt like I had been run over by a truck. I felt, oh my goodness, I'm white and I'm bad.
You're really bad.
I am very bad, I'm one of those Christian nationalists or whatever. They have lots of words for you. But, and then the other part was, I felt like I'd been accused of being a racist. And nobody likes to be told all that kind of stuff. Especially, I felt like I loved everybody that I had worked with, probably 80% Hispanic in the college. I was in Moore County campus, and I took care of Hispanics along with all of these that had come in from Malaysia, lots of places, Somalia. I worked with all kinds of students, and I loved all of them, and I still do. But the training, I'm sorry, nobody wants to hear this, but the training is not good. Mm-hmm. For people that have morals, the people that have virtue, the people that are trying to live a Christian life, or even a good moral life, what is being pumped in there is not good. And it's going to be an uphill battle. I understand that. It's going to take, there's just a few of us that really believe like I do. And so I'm trying to get tougher so I can take a stand and stand. I know I can stand and stand. There's not a problem with that. I may not sway anybody, but I will make a stand that I have Christian values, and I believe the students need to be able to keep their Christian values and not be told that they have to learn all the pronouns, that they have to learn about all these alternate lifestyles and everything. That, to me, you can learn that somewhere else, but Amarillo College doesn't need to be teaching that.
Right, that's right.
And so I want to make change. I just want Amarillo College to be a great place for everybody to go, and that you can go in as a Christian, you can come out as a Christian, you can go in as whatever you want to go in as, and come out and not feel bad about yourself or feel like you have been changed because of somebody's agenda or their propaganda. And that's really what I'm interested in, converting the college back. I know there's going to have to be transparency in who's teaching what, checking that out. And I have a lot more of information, but I think you're thinking it's time to quit. Are you?
Well, I really appreciate all the information. What are your thoughts, Irene, on, you were speaking about Christian nationalism. If you go to the Aspen Institute's website and you go to their search bar and you type in Christian nationalism, they have a video there that after the first 11 or 12 minutes of this kumbaya, you know, pluralist type of view. They're so sweet and they're so, you know, you would think they're planting a garden, but right after about the 11-minute mark, they go right into saying, if you pray to Jesus, if you are a Christian, you're considered a nationalist and a white supremacist.
Mhm.
I mean, that's pretty heavy.
Yes, sir.
That's pretty heavy. And to know that Amarillo College is receiving,
100,000.
yeah,
And could be a
so
million.
much money.
This year it could be a million.
Yeah. So when we elect these individuals, you know, the Constitution affords us, it says there is no taxation without representation. When there's money coming from the outskirts, from who knows where, I think we're being duped here because we're not being represented here in Amarillo, Texas, if they're going to take money from an outside source and then start implementing these things. One area that you'll never see diversity, equity, and inclusion is in the athletic realm. They'll never do it there because that's the cream of the crop and you're going to win and we're going to get the very best. We're going to scholarship everyone that's can run a 4.0 or whatever the case is. I would like them to put their money where their mouth is and start to implement DEI in the athletic realm. And let's see how many tickets they sell after that. We know it's a hoax. We know what it's all about. It's all about Marxist underlying agendas. Does anyone have any questions for Miss Irene real quick?
I'd
Yes.
like to address that.
Yes.
I was on the website and I've known about Aspen for a number of years because we've heard about it. And I also knew I actually had some kinfolk that worked there. So I knew it wasn't a good thing for a long time. But I went on the other day and I found where it said that Christian nationals are dangerous.
Right.
And I thought, I'll tell you what, I hope we're dangerous. But they have a bad agenda.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
that is definitely a place that if Amarillo College actually comes back to where they used to be, or at least better than where they are now, there's going to have to be a disconnect between that evil institution
Yeah.
or whatever you want to call it.
Well, today's February 19th. Or is it the 16th? It's
16th.
16th, 2023. And I guarantee you, for you viewers out there, you'll start hearing that term, Christian nationalism, pop up everywhere because you know how the media is. They're just one voice, and you're going to start hearing that word used over and over and over again. So does anyone here have any questions for Miss Irene?
Have a statement.
Statement.
The view that I saw for validation of Christian nationalism was the assault on the Capitol of January the 6th,
Yes.
because all those horrible attackers were standing around singing praises to Jesus Christ and praying. And these are the types of people that were attacking the Capitol. No, they were standing around praying and singing about Jesus Christ because of people, but they were given the image that Christians were out there attacking the Capitol, and they're using the ones that attack to define the ones that are out there praying for the Congress to do the right thing.
Mhm. Well, if you study history, you'll find that that's happened before,
Mm-hmm.
where one side goes in and dresses like the other side,
Right.
and then they go in and attack. And it's a way back. If you study history, it's happened over and over and over again. And unfortunately, most people don't understand that. But a video I saw had the little guys that were coming in, they were inside the Capitol, and you can't get in without somebody on the inside opening up.
Yeah, let them in.
And they came in they were tiptoeing around in their little black outfits. And then all of a sudden, they had different outfits on. Then they put the little Trump caps and all that kind of stuff, and then it went on from there. So there's a lot to be unveiled, and I believe the truth really is going to come out on that. But what's it been, 2 years
Yeah,
since that happened?
We've been told.
And we've still been told that all
We're
this,
still hitting.
that all of us guys are bad guys. There's some more of that bad guy stuff. But anyway, I can talk all day.
Thank you, Miss Irene, for coming out tonight.
Thank you for having me.
You're
I
so welcome.
appreciate it.
Vote
And
for
if y'all
Irene.
have more questions, well, come and ask me. I call myself the AC from the inside out.
You see from the inside
You have
out.
a website or?
It's in process this week. I'm like Connie, some of us haven't been approached real early, and we didn't have plans in our retirement for coming to do this. And so we're hurrying real fast to get that up. And if you'll give me your name, I'll get back with you and let you know for sure what that website is. I'll have it ready. Next week it will be there, along with a lot of other things. We're working as hard as we can this week. Yeah.
Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
Thank you.
And keep in mind, folks out there that are going to be voting this May, for those two positions, for Amarillo Independent School District and for the College Board of Regents, you can actually vote for one person 3 times. So keep that in mind, okay? Mhm. Yeah, sure is. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our very own Kelsey Richardson, running for City Council Place 1. How are you, Miss Kelsey?
Good, Yes, thanks for having me. So I kind of wanted to, I'll just kind of tell everybody really quick. I have a podcast at 8:00 with the High Plains Pundit. So I'm going to go as fast as I can, but I really want to kind of tell everybody why we're here. So, long story short, in 2019, I had some medical stuff come up and I had to go in and have a total hysterectomy done. When that happened, I kind of lost my identity in myself. I was 29 years old. I mean, it's very, very hard to deal with that. And then right after COVID hit, our church shut down. I was a stay-at-home mom, so I had no friends, nobody to talk to, nobody to, have hug my neck or anything. And so I just kind of hit this spiraling vortex of depression, for lack of a better word. And somebody had told us, y'all come try this church out. And so we went, and God slowly just began rebuilding me and rebuilding me and rebuilding me. I had my peace back. I had confidence back. It's not because necessarily 100% of the church. I mean, a big part of it, I think, is because the people you surround yourself with. But I was so grateful. I just said, God, I couldn't have ever healed on my own. I was lost completely. And I owe you my life because I didn't know what to do anymore. And so I said, use me. Just use me wherever you want me. I'll fight for you. I'll go talk to homeless people. I'll go clean toilets. I'll go do a soup kitchen. Just use me. If there's somebody that I cross paths with and you want me to go talk to them, just tell me in my spirit and I will go do it. I will be obedient to your word. And probably in February of 2021, I felt like God was saying, run for mayor. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. I think that's my own ambition, wanting to be haughty, Not to mention, I don't have a Jezebel spirit. So I was just like, that's not for me. I'm not going to do that. And it just felt like God kept telling me and telling me. So I brought it to my pastor. And my pastor said, yeah, I think that's shooting way too high. So let's try school board. Let's try, what else did he say?
Maybe Regent, probably.
Yeah, Regent or something like that. And so I agreed. And he set me up with Alex Deanda and said, I want you to go with him to meetings, kind of learn the ropes and make sure this is really what you feel like you're called to do once you meet people and you start shaking hands and really seeing the nitty gritty of it. And so I went and I started getting involved, and it was amazing to me, all these people that were in charge that were literally doing nothing. And so I thought, yeah, I think this is what I'm called to do. So the last 2 years I've spent meeting people, door knocking, looking at budgets and just really kind of digging into what's going on. And I told my pastor again, I really feel like this is what I'm supposed to do. And he said, I still think it's, school board, something smaller. And I said, okay. Well, then Ginger Nelson announced she wasn't running again. And then the incumbents all either were moving, basically, or
dropping out. And so pastor said, okay, let's really look into this. You might actually have shot because we're not going to have incumbents to run against. So let's dig into it. And so he gave me this book, and it was the history of America and what makes us so great, what makes our government so great, and why it's set apart from all the other governments. And it was to show me how important what we have here is and why we have to stand for it. There was this quote that I wanted to share with you guys that really struck me and kind of gives me fire. It's by Chris Ann Hall, and it says, "Change will not happen without movement. When we've been sedentary, when we've been comfortable for a very long time, movement is uncomfortable. We've been training our generations in the wrong information about our government. We've been training them to be submissive and compliant. We've forgotten that we, the people, are the rulers over our government, but somehow we've gotten to the place where the government is the ruler over the people.
Mhm.
If we truly want that to change, we have to stop looking for leaders and start being them. Our governments are out of control across the board in this nation. Our politicians are more concerned about politics and special interest than the liberty of its people. So be the leader that your spirit is calling you to be." This gives me fire. This gives me strength. And, there's leaders in here already. There's women that are running. I think everybody is a Christian. So lean to Jesus, cling to him, let him be your help. I'd like to ask everybody to pull up my website, look at it to see what my platform is, look at it to see what I would like to do to affect real change here in Amarillo. And I hope I can see you at the polls. Thanks.
Very good.
You got about 15 minutes or so. When you were you wanting to jump on that phone call about
He
10
said-
till?
He said about 5 till.
5 till?
Yeah.
Okay. So, if you guys wouldn't mind sticking around when she jumps on that call, I would like for us to kind of cheer in the background and get it amped up. Would that be okay?
Don't mind doing that? Kind of.
Who's it going to be with?
Dan Butcher,
Dan
High
Butcher.
Plains Pundit.
Okay.
I have a question for the three of them, which was when I directed to Connie.
Okay.
I wanted to hear how
Come
each
on
of
up,
them
Come on up.
would
my son.
mind answering this question as a representative of the citizens through the election. You are being elected to be an overseer over some facet of our government, one the college, one the school board, and one the county, the commissioner, the city. Each of those have a governing manager. We have the president of the college, we have the superintendent of schools, and we have the city manager. Each of y'all are going to be sitting there in meetings with those people providing you information of their agencies, of what their agency is doing. Who do you represent? Do you represent your agency, or do you represent us who voted for you?
The people. I represent the people.
Well, that's what's been my big curiosity as a citizen when I attend the different meetings. The citizen sits there twiddling their thumbs for about 2 hours, given an opportunity to speak for 3 minutes. They may have a very important issue to speak. And also, when the citizen speaks, whatever the citizen brings up as a possible agenda item, it's never brought forward as an agenda item for the next meeting so that it can be officially an acceptable agenda item. And I found that was very frustrating to me, watching that the people we voted for did not voice their concerns about what the citizens were concerned about and putting it on the agenda for the next meeting to make it official, because they can't meet, any of the boards can't meet without putting it on the agenda. And it has to be a 72-hour statement that it was put out so that the public can come out. But I never see the representatives that we've elected here in Amarillo that will do that after citizens have raised a question and put it on there so the citizen come and really discuss it with the board. Because the board can't discuss anything unless it's on the agenda. They can listen, but they don't have to do anything about it. So I'm hopeful that each of y'all will put that as an interest to let the public bring forward some concerns, and then that goes on the next agenda to make it official. Just curious.
Since you direct that to me, I want to just refer back to something I said. One of my hopes, biggest hopes and desires is that I will be able to somehow engage in taxpayers, yes, but I believe in the school district, you're going to get a lot more weight when those taxpayers also happen to have children they can take out of those schools. And so if we can engage them, I recently was in a school board meeting, and there's been a few just lately over the Amplified, and they did make it to the agenda, I assure you.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's got to take place is, I can be passionate all day long, but if I can't get the people who really push the buttons and who really have the power to vote with their feet and which equals money, then, they're much more effective than me. So my hope is to just bridge that gap and get information out there so parents who aren't hearing what's going on and aren't aware and keep thinking everything's nice. And, you can have a wonderful school teacher, but if she's under a mandate to teach a particular thing, you still got a problem.
You've got a problem.
And so until parents take stewardship of their children and say, that's my child and we're going to discuss this, I think that's where we're going to have change.
Well, one of our missions with Conservatives of Texas here in Amarillo is just that, trying to bridge that gap. And so I'm also a precinct chair for this area here, the 111. And so with like Mr. Schaefer was speaking, I mean, what they yearn for are these types of things. And so one of the mission statements that we're trying to achieve is to be that middleman to supply and facilitate the information that we're gathering out to our community, inviting them out to something like this, having folks like Kevin Phillips that we were on the phone with about 3 weeks ago. He's the deputy superintendent of Amarillo Independent School District, and we had a few questions. And we spoke to him for maybe 45 minutes. And with that information, we document it and we set it before our representatives like Ronnie Jackson, John Smithy, Ted Cruz, Kevin Sparks, whoever it may be. But one of the mission statements that we're trying to achieve is getting it out to the general public. We had a situation with the city of Amarillo where they had condoms and coloring books at the same booth. Kelsey was a part of that attribute where we directed our questions to the assistant city manager, Jared Miller. Yes, the city manager, I'm sorry. Excuse me on that. But we had about 22 people in there, and we addressed the situation. And I had about 150 folks sign a petition in my immediate area of Southeast Amarillo, and every single one of them that I asked, with the exception of one, was heated. They were hot to trot about that situation. They didn't like it. And I will say that the one that didn't sign it, he agreed with our compassion for the situation. But this is very telling of the former council that we had and the leadership. The reason he wouldn't sign it is because he was a small business owner and he didn't want any retaliation.
Yeah, they would.
He didn't want them to see his signature and then force and implement who knows what on his business. Isn't that sad? That is sad. So, yes.
I think that, there's an understanding that if you want change, people don't change usually until the pain gets too great.
Mm.
And I think the pain is already too great, but I just don't think people, I think it's like a lot of them have been medicated, and we've got to let them know this is really where the level is. And I think with that, we're going to see, we'll see.
I think a lot of it too, y'all keep saying our goal was to educate and not indoctrinate. Well, I don't know. I'm sure people have told you the indoctrination is already here. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the stuff and my knowledge that I have about the Constitution, our preamble, all those things, that comes from me digging. I wasn't taught that at school. Yes.
Hey, Kelsey, I'm probably the only one in here this would affect, but when you discuss something with the city council, they've got, Texas Municipal Retirement System. I keep getting a raise from Port Arthur, Texas, where I was a health inspector down there. But for the last 6 years, Amarillo doesn't ever give a cost of living raise to its retired employees.
That's good information to have. Thank you. I'll look into what to do with that.
Yeah, so if you would like, I know you're about to get on that phone call, so you can step over there, get on it, get ready, and when you're ready, I'll kind of talk a little bit with these two and some of the others here.
Okay.
Kelsey,
Just
what
wave
is your
us down.
website?
VoteKelseyIn2023.com.
So y'all come on up here. Romans 13 speaks on being submitted to the governing authorities. And I struggled with that for a long time, because I thought, man, what if your leader is someone like Hitler? What do you do there? It's pretty thorough in the consequences. It considers it, an abomination of sorts, And I remember coming home from Plainview, and I couldn't get an answer. And finally, I said, "Holy Spirit, why don't I just ask you? I mean, you're the source, And what He led me to understand was that in our country, the Constitution is the governing authority, which in the preamble says, "We the people." We're the governing authority. So those out of line and in those subjections that Romans 13 speaks on are the elected officials if they aren't submitting to us, the governing authority. Isn't that something else? And so that's what folks need to understand, that Romans 13, it gets a little twisted, you know what I mean? And so in this country, it's just an amazing place to be. So thank you guys for stepping up and wanting to submit to that conviction of wanting to serve we the people, right? So you want to close out on anything until Kelsey comes back?
Oh, I was just going to say that it's kind of like the separation of church and state that a lot of people have stood behind for many years. And unfortunately, probably Christian people are probably the worst at it. But when you find out, when you really study, you find that that's not a law, that's not an amendment, that's not a statute. That separation of church and state was just words that were in a letter.
Constitution.
It's not in the Constitution. And so people just need to be informed. And I was listening, I heard this Rabbi Chapin, I think is his name, and he said Americans are, they are, how'd it go? They are in total, they've been indoctrinated in complete ignorance.
Absolutely.
And, that doesn't sound very good.
No.
I didn't like the sound of it either, but I thought, well, Rabbi, you probably have a pretty good idea there that so many of us, I was guilty. I had to go back and study. It's been a long time since I studied government and history and all of that. And so I really had to study a lot, and a lot of us just don't know. I say that Americans are the ones that we just don't know. So we just sit by silently, and silent is not a good thing, even with God. Your silence says, okay, I'm okay with this. If you're not going to stand up and you're not going to fight, well, you're just going to get what you give then. And so I'm one of those I was asleep, and I woke up one morning and I found out that woke was here. And then I found out that it had affected 5 different areas. It had affected leadership. It had affected morals. There's a whole new language. It's like you have to study another language to even talk about this stuff. And then there's 2 more that it's changed everything. And so people like me, I wasn't planning on spending my retirement, in meetings. But there's a God that says, hey, somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to do it. So I just told him, I said, I'm a somebody. And so here I am.
Amen.
Well, and she keeps telling y'all that we're retired. That would be my dream, but I'm not retired. I'm actually working and still doing
Okay.
this. So, and I'm like, wow, but I've always learned that anything that I step up and do, that I feel that I can make a difference. And I do believe I was born, again, all of us were born to make a difference. We just can't just get here and breathe air. It's not good enough.
Not good.
And especially in the day we're living in. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that showed up and they just been breathing air, and now here we are. And so what are we going to do about it? And so I'm going to tell, something about my age here, but in the 70s, I lived in the latter part of the 70s, I lived in Nebraska. And at that point in time, Christian school was a very hotbed discussion. And everybody, when it's convenient, wants to shout separation of church and state. Yet, and you can go back and read about this, but the police came into to churches with guns drawn, demanding the attendance records of their Christian school. Where did church and state go?
Yeah.
And if you believe that, then follow it. And so a guy named Jay Sekulow came on the horizon.
Yes.
And he, I laugh and say, he became Jay Sekulow when, that's when he became Jay Sekulow. Of course, and I learned some things as a young person. Oh, wait a minute. There is an agenda against our children. There is a double standard. I can't trust what I thought was, and I'm not against, obviously I'm not against public school, but I'm for public school. There are many children that will never make it to any other outlet of education. And there are great teachers and there are great things happening, but we have to have you're gonna get so sick of hearing me say this in the next 3 months, but the parents have the stewardship of their children. And that is where we have to land on this thing, not the government, not a school board, the parents.
Right.
We've got to get right again.
Well, Conservatives of Texas established 2019. I want to thank Irene Hughes running for Amarillo College Board of Regents. Remember, you guys can vote 3 times for that position. And Connie Brown for AISD Board of Regents. So you can vote for her 3 times as well. So make sure you guys get out. I think Kelsey's still getting on there.
I got one more statement.
I will be at the gun show this weekend. So bring your friends, bring your families. Let me visit with them. Let me hang out with them. Let me talk to them. Because not only do I want to talk to them, I am desperate to hear, because you guys know things that I don't know. I'm late to the party. But if you'll give me your information, hopefully it'll help me to do something for you.
What time does that start? And is it Saturday and Sunday?
That's Saturday and Sunday, man. I don't have to know that yet.
It starts at 9. It starts at 9.
I'm just trying to figure out what time to
Trying
get
to
in.
get right tonight first.
That's right.
And also for Kelsey Richardson, we are going to have a come and go meet and greet at Youngbloods Saturday morning from 9 to 11. So guys, get out there and get some breakfast. It's really good food. And
Sunday morning?
Saturday, it'll be this weekend on Saturday, which would be what?
2 days from
The
now.
18th. That'll be the 18th. And y'all guys come out there and eat something and meet some folks as well.
Well, I want to remind each of you that the 27th is the AISD board meeting at 5:45 on I-40 down the Sports Center. And 28th, Tuesday, is AC at 6 o'clock in the upper room there on the campus. So that's on 27th, 28th. If we have anybody here, I know Peggy would like to have some more people sitting out in the forum to give a support that Peggy is out there on a string by herself. And upcoming candidate for the school. I mean, I don't know if you have time to do all those things, but that's what I hear Blair was doing.
I've been, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, you've been to those board meetings.
And the AISD is pretty full right now.
It is pretty
There's a
full.
lot of discussion to
Lot
be
of
had. Come
discussion.
join us with it.
Yeah.
Right, Zach?
You have a question? No, not this weekend, no, not at all. I usually go through the headquarters, through our precinct. So that's Randall County Republican Headquarters, 3219 Commerce.
Real quick.
Yes.
Laced with Christianity and the truth that our founders were all Christians
Yeah.
can be found in the American Heritage series,
Okay,
all through it. And the thing about this is I found out it's online at YouTube. You can watch
Yeah.
it yourself. And then also the Constitution Alive is also full of Christian information because our founders or based our law on the Bible and regulations that were established in them because they read Locke. And we find
John
out
Locke?
more of that in
Which
the
was
Constitutional Law.
that's right. Were you gonna say something, Con?
Probably everyone in this room may know this, but if you look at where education was just 120 years ago, the church was responsible for educating your children. That's
Right.
back when the founders of our papers could sign with cursive and understand complex, all kinds of complex documents. I worked in oil and gas for a while, and we had to go back to the patent. I worked in Ohio.
Mhm.
That means you go back to when the original land was given to the first person or sold to the first person. And I read documents that were like, wow,
Wow.
and the signatures on them. And we'd go into the courthouse and open those dusty books. So back when that used to be the norm, churches were educating our children. I am not trying to take it out of the hands of the public sector. I'm for the public sector, but you know what? We've got something to say.
Oh, you do for choice?
Am I what?
For choice as an option
For school choice?
for school choice?
You know what's funny is I can argue either side of that. Very big, I can see either side of it. I do have a very strong, and I'll talk to you that later. I'm not quite ready to
I'm
talk.
not ready on that.
I don't have all the details that I want to present as well as I want to present them, but I'll talk to you
Sounds
about
good.
it.
And just remember, guys, Harvard, Yale, and Princeton, just to name a few, were all seminaries.
All seminaries.
So, hey, again, I wanted to be clear. This is our regular monthly meeting. We meet every third Thursday at 7 p.m. But I wanted to give these lovely individuals some
No,
time
they're
to
great.
come speak. And
Thank you.
it's campaign season. You're very welcome, Connie. It's campaign season yet again. And as some of you folks sitting here know, that is, I don't know when you sleep. I really don't, Blair.
Yeah, when does he sleep?
I talked to him earlier today, and he was doing.
He's a fireman.
He was doing Uber, and I'm going, guy. Okay, you ready? Okay, we have Kelsey. She's fixing to go live. You ready? Everybody cheer.
Hey, oh, check.
Not yet.
This past Tuesday, at Cole Stanley's big campaign announcement, we was announcing running for mayor, and that is Kelsey Richardson. Kelsey is running for Emerald City Council, place 1. So we have to make sure, we have so many candidates. Got to make sure we get those places right. Kelsey's running for place 1. And of course, place 1 is being vacated by Cole Stanley, who has decided to run for mayor. So we welcome to the program Kelsey Richardson. Kelsey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm just here with my team. Everybody say hi.
Hey, Dave, what's up, buddy?
Built-in audience.
No, it's not. Have us count. Say any number you want.
All right, guys. Thank y'all so much.
Okay. Hey, let's go out in the hallway, guys. Go ahead. Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna get off of this real quick.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.